Hey guys, I am Kiba, and today is the Predaplant Deck Profile. Note to mind, this is the one without Verde Anaconda in it, but we'll see what we got. So let's kick into it. Kicking off with 2 copies of Predaplant Saraceniant. And when an opponent declares a direct attack, you can special summon it and from your hand after damage calc, and if it battles an opponent's monster, you can destroy that opponent's monster. And if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can add 1 Predap card from your deck to your hand, except himself. And I can only use it once per turn. I play 2 copies of Predaplant Flytrap. In Flytrap's effect is once per turn, I can target a face-up monster your opponent controls and place a Predator counter on it. If it's level 2 or higher, it becomes level 1. And at the start of the damage step, when it battles an opponent's monster with an equal or lower level, you can destroy it, and increase this card's level by that monster's original level. Next up, 2 copies of Clamato Sundew, because he's a walking super poly. And it helps because he can literally just say, hey, guess what? Field, take your monsters, fusion summon. 1 copy of Darling Tony Cobra, because he's not really that super powered, but to search a polymerization spell card or fusion spell. 3 copies of Predaplant Ophrys Scorpio. When normal or special summoned, you can ditch a monster from your hand, special summon a Predaplant monster from your deck other than himself. 2 copies, Predaplant Spinal Dionea. When normal or special summoned, you can target a face-up monster on the field or a monster opponent controls, place a Predator counter on it, and it becomes level 1 as long as it has a Predator counter. After damage calc, if it battled a monster with an equal or lower level, special summon a Predator planet from your deck. 3 copies of Drocephalum Hydra. Drocephalum Hydra, you can tribute a monster on attributing 1 monster on either player's field with a Predator counter. And you can special summon it only once per turn this way. During either player's turn, if it's on the field or in graveyard, you can banish a Predator plant monster from your graveyard. Target 1 monster on the field, loses 500 attack. Finally, for the monsters, 3 Ash Blossom Joyous Spring. Now let's go into spells and traps. My piece de resistance. I play 3 copies of Predap Practice, and it allows you to special summon a Predator plant monster from your hand, then add a Predap card from your deck to your hand, except Predap Practice. Also, I cannot special summon any other monsters from your extra deck except fusion monsters, which is perfectly fine because you're going to be summoning fusion monsters. Next up, 2 copies of Predator Blast to get more counters on the field. Reveal Predap cards in your hand. Distribute counters based on how many number of Predap cards are in your hand. And it's quick play, so it helps. 1 copy of Predaponics to get some summons back on the board and to summon your monsters from the graveyard. 1 Predaprime Fusion, just because. And it also helps get, especially a junior Super Poly. Speaking of Super Poly, 3 copies of Super Polymerization. Discard 1 card. Fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck by using monsters from either field's fusion, and neither player can activate cards or effects in response to it. Which literally says, hey, guess what? Screw your Dragoon, mine. 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. Allure of Darkness, draw 2 cards, banish a dark monster. If you don't have any in your hand, discard your entire hand. Which you will. 2 copies of Twin Twisters. Twin Twisters effect, discard, pop 2. 3 copies of the Predator Planning. You activate this card, send 1 Predator Planning monster from your deck to the grave, distribute counters onto all monsters on the field, get a Predator counter. And if you fusion summon a monster while this card's in the graveyard, except during the damage step, you can banish it to pop a card on the field. Very good. Next up, I played all 3 Solemn cards. I play Solemn Judgment, Warning, and Strike. And half your life points to negate anything. Pay 2k to negate a summon or would summon. And Solemn Strike just because Solemn Strike. Now, let's get into the extra deck. 2 copies of Predaplant Chimera Aphasia. Chimera Aphlasia's effect is I can target a monster with a level less than or equal to it and banish it. And when the attack is declared involving him and an opponent's monster, I can make that opponent's monster lose 1,000 attack, and he gains that 1,000 attack. And if he leaves the field during the next standby phase, I can search a polymerization spell or fusion spell. Next up, 2 copies of Dragostapalia. Dragostapalia's ability is that I can, once per turn, quick effect, target a monster on the field my opponent controls and place a predator counter. And if it does have one, it's level 1. And as long as a monster has a predator counter on it, negate activated effects of opponent's monsters with predator counters on them. Next up, 1 Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. Why 1? Because he's great, but I don't want to kill him. I don't want to get him killed. So, next up, 3 copies of my boss monster of the deck. Predaplant Trifio Veritum. Trifio Veritum gains attack equal to the original attack of all other monsters on the field with a predator counter. And I can only use each of the following effects of Trifio Veritum down below once per turn. When your opponent special summons a monster is from the extra deck while I control this fusion summon monster, I can negate the summon if I do destroy those monsters. And if my opponent controls a monster with a predator counter, I can special summon it from the graveyard in defense position. Basically, it's like, hey, guess what? Negate, come back, increase my attack points. Screw you. Finally, for fusions, Greedy Venom Fusion Dragon. Because he can come back and then do some serious damage when he's on the field. And when he leaves the field, he's even more dangerous. Next up for links, since I don't have rarity Anaconda, I'm trying to compensate. So 1 copy of Saryuja Skuldread. He gains additional effects for how many link materials you've used for him. So if you use just 4, he gets the special summon a monster to a zone he points to. Or when he normally special summons a monster to his zones, increases attack points by attack and defense by 300. And you can draw 4 cards and then send 3 back to the deck. Next up, I play 1 copy of Linkuriboh. And Linkuriboh is because you will be using level 1s. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you contribute this card to change the attack to 0 until the end of the turn. And if this card is in my graveyard, I contribute a level 1 special summon this card. However, I can only use each effect once per turn. And for side deck options, I run 1 Gem SCL, the Sea Turtle Kaiju. 2 copies of Effect Veiler, because hand traps, you need them. 1 copy of Winged Dragon of Ra in Sphere Mode. 2 copies of Ghost Ogre Snow Rabbit. 1 Lava Golem, because monster removal. Now for spells, Black Garden, to get more level 1s in the field and to have fusion fodder, since they're all dark. 1 Cosmic Cyclone. 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. 2 copies of Compulsory Evacuation Device. 1 Red Reboot, because that way it shuts down people's evenly matched plays. And finally, a copy of Crackdown. And that's it. That's it for my build. I originally had a bigger planned video for my comeback, but this is what I could come up with right now because my video software is being a bit of a beesh. So, I hope you liked this video, and give me a comment, like, and subscribe. And also, I give a shout out to Mako Abyss. Thank you so much for helping me out with my YouTube channel. And I'm going to have his link in his channel down below, and also with the deck profile. So, please give me a like, comment, and subscribe. I've been Kiba, and see you guys next time in the Fusion Force TCG.